The AI news cycle never stops, and this week was no different. We got some big releases this week, and I think a lot of these aren't being talked about enough. First, Google released something called Workspace Intelligence. This brings all your knowledge from your entire workspace, like Gmail, Drive, and Google Keep, into any chat with Gemini. OpenAI also released a new image generation model. A lot of people quickly said that this is the best image generation model out there, but after further testing, there are some problems with it. And then finally, Anthropic released something called Live Artifacts for Claude that could save you a lot of money on tokens. We'll talk about all that and a lot more. My name is Paul J. Lipsky. I make videos every week about the AI tools that you actually care about. None of the hype and none of the complicated tools that you'll never use, stuff that's actually useful. I'm currently at the Mandalay Bay in Vegas for Google Cloud Next. This is where Google announces a lot of the newest AI developments for enterprise and business owners. But there's actually a lot more going on here that the average consumer will care about as well. And the biggest one this year is Google Workspace Intelligence. This brings the entire Google ecosystem, think Gmail, Google Chats, Google Sheets, Google Drive, into one intelligence system with everything connected to it. And because of that, it's almost hard to demonstrate everything that this can do. But let me show you some of the coolest use cases of this. So first, I'm here inside Google Sheets. And you see, I started to put together this spreadsheet where I'm looking at different brands. These are all shoe brands. And I want to gather information about them, where they're all located, the CEO of each company, and the revenue from last year. Now, I could go out and do all this research on my own, or maybe open up Gemini and ask those questions and then paste them in here. But check out what you can now do. Drag to fill with Gemini. So I'll drag to fill. You'll see it is now generating, and it's actually going out and finding that information for us. And now it's done generating all of that information. Now, this has been rolling out for a little bit. You may have seen this already, but this next feature is brand new. There's a new feature called Canvas Menu. So if you click down here where it says Canvas Menu, once this is available to you, click on Create a Canvas, and this will turn your spreadsheet into a much more interactive and visually appealing dashboard for you to visualize the information. So you can describe what you want it to look like, or literally just say, create an interactive dashboard about this information. And about a minute later, it's now finished, and it's showing us the same information, just represented differently. A lot more visual here. You see this is interactive, and here it all is. And if you want to go back to the data itself, you can click on View Data. You can make any changes in here, and that will be reflected back in the canvas, which you can find back down here. So those two are synced up together. This, I think, is a really awesome feature. You can basically create these dashboards and mini apps directly inside Google Sheets. But like I said, one of the powers of Workspace Intelligence is that it brings all of that information together for Gemini to use. So if we open up a new Google Doc, down here at the bottom, this is the Gemini bar. You can talk to it here and tell it to create things for you. So I will tell it, create a report for me about the profitability of starting a shoe company using the info from our Shoewear Intel spreadsheet. Now I could do the @ sign and actually type in the name of the spreadsheet and bring it in like that. But Workspace Intelligence is smart enough to know what information you're talking about, even if you don't add it like I did right here. So sending this along, it's going to pull the information from this spreadsheet as well as other information to put together this report for us. And this is the report that is put together for us. So what I think is so transformative about Workspace Intelligence is just the way it's bringing together all of this information from all these apps: Gmail, Google Chat, Drive, Sheets, Google Meet, and all of it's being funneled into Workspace Intelligence to make it more helpful for you. This is currently rolling out to all Workspace customers and AI Ultra and AI Pro users. So lots of people are going to have access to this. Another feature of this that has slowly been rolling out and is going to be available to even more people in the coming weeks is AI Inbox. I've had access to this and it is extremely helpful. I'm not going to be able to show you too much, unfortunately, because these are my actual emails. But over here on the left, when you log into Gmail, you'll see this. It will say AI Inbox under regular inbox. And it will look through all of the emails that you've received and give you a breakdown on what you actually need to focus on. So this tells me I have 11 to-do list items based on my emails and 4 topics to catch up on. So the to-do list items are actual tasks based on emails that you have to accomplish. And the catch up things are just things that like you don't actually have to do anything. It's just like you should be aware of this. This is something you'd want to pay attention to. So all of this is just very helpful if we're just looking at this at the start of your day to know what you have going forward. While we're inside my Gmail, I want to talk about the other feature that I am very excited for that's being updated, Google Workspace Studio. Most people don't know about this. You can find this at the top here where it says Studio. It is only available on Workspace accounts right now. And this allows you to create these mini flows or automations. And this is very underrated. It is very powerful what this can do. So if I click right here where it says do more in Studio, that will open it up. And you can set up workflows in here. So like send me summaries and action items after meetings, because this is able to connect up with a lot of your favorite tools. So if I create a new one right here, you can see what actually triggers these automations or flows. You can set them up on a schedule every time that you receive an email, when someone joins a space, when a sheet changes, when a file is edited in Google Drive. So there's a lot of different triggers here. And then based on that, certain actions can happen. So you can have Gemini summarize information or determine if something is important or not. It can recap emails. And then from that, you can trigger things in Gmail. You can trigger things in Google Chat and Sheets. Now, this has been out for a couple months. I've been using this and loving this. So if we come over to my flows, you see I have a flow set up where it will notify me when I receive emails from important people. And I'll also receive notifications just about urgent emails. So the AI actually looks through the email and determines if it's urgent. And if it is, it sends me a notification on Google Chat. That way, I don't need to have notifications turn on for Gmail, like pinging me all day. I only get notified about the important ones. Now, I've been loving this, but I have found it to be a bit limited in what it can do, but that's getting a major expansion. So this right here is the recap of everything you're going to be able to do here. So you see there's a lot of new stuff here. You'll be able to create steps using Gemini, so you don't have to manually set it up yourself now. And notice what it integrates with, Notebook LM. That is going to be such a game changer. You can now automate things in Notebook LM, both pulling information from notebooks and adding information to notebooks. They'll be adding in deep research with Workspace Intelligence, which will allow it to pull information from your entire workspace when helping you with your automations. That is what we need, because automations in a vacuum aren't super helpful. For automations, knowing the full context of what's important to you, that is extremely helpful. You can always have a human confirmation to make sure that it doesn't like send off emails that you haven't approved and things like that. And they're introducing skills, which will be very, very powerful and helpful. That way you don't have to keep repeating prompts. Automated skills as well. There's a lot coming to this. Certainly, once I get access to it, I'll be making an entire video about that one as well to really deep dive into all these exciting new features. Overall, there were just too many announcements from Google Cloud Next for me to cram into one weekly news update. So very soon, I'll be making a dedicated video pretty much showing you how to take advantage of this new Workspace Intelligence and all the amazing things that you can do across Gmail, across Drive, Google Sheets, and Google Docs. So that video will be coming very soon. Stay tuned to the channel for that one. Let's switch gears now and talk about what OpenAI has been up to this past week. The big news is that they released a new image generation model called Images 2.0, and it is very impressive. You can see some examples of it right here. In particular, it's really good at putting text on images, and they've been sharing a lot of images that is created of basically screenshots. So there are two parts to this. The first is the actual rendering of the image, which is done quite well. And the other part is knowing what the image should look like. So it's able to pull in that information a lot better. Now, this is already available. You can just come over to ChatGPT and try it out for yourself. I've been playing around with it and I am very impressed with it. It is a lot better than the last image generation model from OpenAI. You can see an example of it right here. Everything just looks very clear, very sharp, and very realistic. Even the text, or particularly the text on the wall here, looks so good. Now, I need to spend a lot more time on this, testing this, because I've been comparing some of the results against Nano Banana 2 and Nano Banana Pro, And for certain prompts, I find that certain models are better. And it may just come down to prompting. So, for instance, here I asked it to both Gemini and ChatGPT to take this image of me and to clean it up and get it ready to be posted as a profile photo on social media. Gemini really understood that assignment. So it took me out of the car, really cleaned it up. Like, this is something I could use for social media as a profile photo. ChatGPT didn't really understand that assignment very well. It left me in the car, which is awkward. It's not something I would use. It didn't crop it. It removed the dog, my dog, from the image, which is something that, I would want if I had an image of the dog with me. So not as good of a result as Gemini. Here's another example. I asked it to create a thumbnail image for me, and ChatGPT did a terrible job. I would never use this. However, notice what is on the screen. I asked it to put on the screen ChatGPT, and it did a really good job of that. Not perfect, but that does look like ChatGPT. Now, comparing that with Nano Banana Pro, this looks so much better. Like, this thumbnail is actually usable, but look at the screen. That doesn't look anything like ChatGPT. So they both have their strengths and weaknesses. I'll definitely spend more time on this because these are just my initial impressions. But so far, I'm not agreeing with everyone out there who says that Images 2.0 is hands down in every situation the best image generation model out there. The next update from OpenAI is something they're calling Workspace Agents. These are little agents that you create directly inside of ChatGPT that can run autonomously for you. And what makes them so interesting is that they are very easy to build. You just click on the left where it says Workspace Agents, describe what you want the agent to do, and it will build it out for you and start working. Now, this is not available yet for consumer ChatGPT accounts, like it's only available for business accounts. Hopefully, this does trickle down because this is one of the easiest ways I have seen to create AI agents in a tool that a lot of people already use. And the last very quick update from OpenAI is that now there's an integration between ChatGPT and Google Sheets. So ChatGPT can now create things in Google Sheets for you. Let's talk next about what Anthropic has been up to with Claude, because they just released a very interesting new feature this week. So now inside of Claude Cowork, on the left, you'll see something called live artifacts. These create dynamic artifacts that stay up to date using data from any of your connectors. So the more things you have connected, the more powerful these can be. So what makes these so unique is that they build out dashboards for you, things that look like this. Here's an example someone created where it pulls in stats, total emails in their inbox, the top sender, and the busiest day of the week for them. And once you create this once, every time you re-enter that artifact, it will automatically refresh using the connector. But what it doesn't do is it doesn't automatically regenerate. It just pulls in new information and updates the dashboard. This will save you a ton of money on usage. You're not going to burn through it as quickly. And there's so many interesting things that you can do with this that I'll be making a full dedicated video on different use cases very soon. So if that interests you, definitely make sure you subscribe. And the last update from Claude Cowork is that now when you come to the chat box, underneath it, you have the option of selecting Act Without Permission. That will allow Claude to work without pausing for your approval. So you know how normally you start a chat and you have to keep pressing approve, 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 approve. If you just press that button without actually reading anything anyway, you might as well select Act Without Asking. It does come with some additional risks, but that option is now there. All right, we're going to return back to Google now because they actually had a lot of updates from this past week, besides the ones that I covered at the start of the video. So rolling out right now is the ability to branch in a new chat any conversation that you have. This is something people have been asking for a long time. This is really helpful if you have several back and forths with Gemini, and it kind of leads in a direction that didn't quite work out for you. So you kind of want to go back to one part of the conversation and like start over from there. Well, when you click these three dots, you'll be able to click on branch and it'll pick up the conversation in a new chat from there. Super helpful. Google also released a new tool called Flow Music. You can find this at flowmusic.app. This is included in your Google AI subscription. And this is another place where you can generate music. Now, unlike creating it directly inside of Gemini, this is like the overpowered version of it. You can create songs, playlists, you can create these spaces, music videos, break everything down into projects, and really fine tune exactly what your songs are going to look like with a lot more options in here. So you can have a ghostwriter, a producer here, you can choose what instruments. So if you really are into music generation and AI music generation, definitely check out this new tool. It's really fun to play with. Then some other small updates from Google. So now Gemini for Home includes continued conversation. So you'll be able to literally continue a conversation with Gemini on your home speakers. Really nice. If you've ever used or you use Google AI Studio, it's a very popular tool. I have a full video on this coming very soon. This used to be kind of difficult to use because you either had to use the free version of it, which was a bit limited, or you had to use an API key. But now you can actually use your Google AI subscription for higher access. So this unlocks a lot more. I'll be covering all that in a future video. And then finally, the very popular tool Pomeli, which is a tool that creates for you these social media campaigns based on your business DNA. So you can have all these posts for social media created for you very easily. It is now available on mobile and it's rolling out to Europe as well. So those are all the updates. And this is one of those weeks where there were so many cool new developments. And honestly, each of them deserve their own dedicated deep dive. So I'll be making a lot of videos over the next couple weeks, kind of going deeper on a lot of the ideas and updates that I've introduced you to in this video. Definitely those Claude live artifacts. Very interested in all the different use cases we can come up with for those. And Workspace Intelligence. I've been using a local file-based system sort of as my intelligence hub, but I'm curious now, if I move everything over to Google Drive, can Workspace Intelligence do all that for me? I'm gonna give it a test. I'm very excited to see what it can do. So if you wanna see those videos when they're available, make sure to subscribe to the channel and let me know in the comment section down below which of these different the new releases you want me to do a deep dive on, because I, at the end of the day, make content for you guys. So whatever you want to see is what I'll make a video on. Then thanks so much for watching the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.